look at your competition. What makes you better than your competitor and run with that. Successful businesses, scaled businesses solve that differentiation problem, and they understand what adds value to their business, how they're adding value to their customer experience, and they're delegating everything that's not.
So what are the most successful sellers on Amazon doing that most sellers miss?
Most successful sellers on Amazon are, one, I think they really understand their numbers. And I think a lot of sellers don't fully understand their numbers and their metrics and fully understand their margins and their metrics and profitability. Number two, I think the best sellers are going deep into understanding the platform or working with really great agencies or hired people on their team that really understand the platform. And also continuing to accelerate and grow their business on a monthly basis. So you have a listing, how can I improve that listing? You have a product, how can I improve that product? They're reading the reviews, they're thinking about what to launch next. They either understand advertising really well, it's a big component of success, or they have somebody on their team, or they're hired for it, but they're going deep in the area and they're very, very focused. And what I see not as successful sellers do is they're all over the place. They have shiny object syndrome. This month they're doing this, the next month they're doing this. The one time they want to go to Walmart, then they want to go to their website, then they want to come back to Amazon. I think you have to stay very, very focused, and also make sure you're giving, the best, most successful sellers actually don't have huge catalogs. They have a lot of conviction on what they're going to launch, and then they go all in on that particular product, as opposed to kind of spreading yourself thin. And they understand the platform. They understand the Amazon honeymoon period. They understand that it's important to get reviews. They understand that today you're not going to be profitable starting day one, and that you need to have enough inventory, not go out of stock, and the right budget to launch products.
I think one key thing is just trying to find all those underutilized items that small sellers either don't have the time or just aren't aware of to really set yourself apart from the competition. So whether it's increasing lifetime value by creating products that you can cross-sell or have repeat purchases for, or trying to increase margin with your increased branding. These are all key items that I feel like if you can establish yourself as a seller, you're going to set yourself apart overall.
To be successful, early stage, like going from 0 to 1, you need to find sort of an edge of a wedge. Like what is that a customer needs? Like find one buyer that needs something, it's likely that there will be more. So you sort of find that core need, how to serve that customer, which is great, but then how do you build business around that? So same challenge that a software provider will have, any SaaS business will have, is the same challenge that agencies will have, is the same challenge that a seller will have. Like, how do you differentiate what makes your beer taste better? How do you focus on value that you're delivering to your audience? How do you delegate things that are not critical for your success? So successful sellers solve that dilemma, like solve that puzzle. How do I delegate things that I don't really need to focus on, and how do I retain focus on things that make a difference for my business? Like Amazon, on their software side, they have something that they call undifferentiated heavy lifting. Like, how do we find providers that will take care of things that we don't need to take care of because it doesn't add value to our business? So when you think about, as a seller, like for certain things you will use an agency. Like if as a seller you probably don't want to spend too much time learning about Amazon APIs and new ad units that are out there. That's sort of specific functional knowledge that someone should spend all day thinking about that, and it doesn't differentiate. You're like being placed position 1, page 1 on Amazon is a great thing, but it's not something that necessarily makes your business successful. Like, it makes your business viable, but you need to focus on value add. Again, going back to buyers, like your buyers are not better off because you're in position 1 on page 1. Your buyers are better off because your product delivers utility that they need. Someone else should be taking care of the boring things, like making sure that you're ranked the way you need to be ranked, or that you're hiring the way you should be hiring, or that your internet in your home office is always on.
Can you tell us something that most successful sellers are doing that smaller sellers often miss?
Yes, I got one that's pretty relevant to what we do for a living with the AZ Seller Kit. It's test pricing. You don't need a software to test pricing. But if you're a small seller starting out and you have an item that's actually doing well, you should be testing the price. Test the higher price, see if your sales velocity maintains. If it doesn't, lower it back down. But you have to test your price squeeze every dollar out of your inventory that you can. There's no sense in leaving money on the table. Just always be testing.
When does it make sense to raise price on Amazon?
If your item is selling well, then you can try raising the price. You should just test it. Don't do drastic raises, but go up by 5%, 7%, maybe even 3% if you're a higher priced item, just to test and see how the market will react. The most important metric to track for pricing is your sales velocity. If you were selling 50 units a day of an item and you raise the price, if you continue to sell 50 units a day, it worked. If your sales velocity drops, consider lowering the price back down.
How often do you see price impacting rank in a negative way?
So that's a great question. If you raise your price, some people, one approach would be to raise your price. Even if you sell less volume, you'll make more profit dollars. So that is one approach that I've heard people take. But the danger with that is that over time on Amazon, if you were selling 50 a day at $20, and now I'm selling 40 a day at $25, I might be more profitable. But over time, having a velocity of 40 a day, initially in the first week, 2 weeks, your BSR will hold. But after that, if it stays consistent, your BSR will start to slip and your ranking will start to slip. So even more profit dollars is not the right thing to target exclusively if you're adjusting pricing. You want to try and really watch your sales velocity to make sure that your rank holds.
Sounds like it's a balancing act, sort of. That's awesome. Okay.
I mean, I feel like they're willing to win top of search on new product launches and spend whatever it takes to get that initial organic, and then I feel like some sellers are just afraid to spend the money up front, or they're not willing to put the investment to get the long-term result.
Burn money is, yeah.
Kind of.
Sure, I agree with that. Yeah, like willing to dictate, like there's a certain time period where I know we're just not going to be profitable for a long time, and we just have to bite the bullet and spend it. Otherwise, we're never going to get over that hump of like generating any sort of organic velocity.
Successful sellers currently are going away from China when it comes to product sourcing specifically. So let's say currently we have around 350 live projects running. 70% of them are sourcing outside of China. So experienced sellers, they're looking at diversifying their supply chain and also making sure they have a backup outside of the country where they produce the product initially. So let's say if you're sourcing initially in China, you can go to another country based on many different, points of interest and convergence and import taxes and all of those things. New guys, they might not have the experience. They don't have the overview. A lot of people, even experienced people I see, they're like, oh, China, that's the only place I can source products. No, and you shouldn't. And this gives them also a first mover advantage, because when you go somewhere, you take the time, you invest the time and maybe a little bit more money. Others will not do this. So they're investing time and money in diversification. That's very important. Answer. Thank you.
I think I have another one maybe to add in there is that a lot of successful sellers, they actually think about resourcing the existing product in order to improve the whole production cost.
Okay, so it sounds like making sure to diversify your supply chain as much as possible. And then will you define resourcing a little bit more for me?
Resourcing, like let's say you have a bestseller, whether it's a nice microphone, for example, with your own brand, and you're running this already for a couple of years, you have your purchasing prices. But why not going in after a couple of months, a couple of years, maybe directly also at the beginning? But when you know this is your bestseller product, why not try to get even more money out of it by finding the same or better quality from a different supplier, or even from the same supplier, to go with one of our undercover hacks, for example, to get better prices?
I have a direct example, if you don't mind. We have a customer, their purchasing order was $240,000. It's jewelry, one guy, beautiful jewelry. He wanted to get better pricing. We went in, we talked to his existing supplier, we went and talked to some others. We managed to drop his prices with the existing supplier by $150,000. So we decreased. So it's like, yeah.
So it sounds like hedging risk as much as possible is a huge benefit to new sellers.
Think about it as a financial portfolio, like you're a financial institution. Okay. What do those financier fancy guys do? They diversify. They never put everything in one basket. Never put your eggs in one basket. This is the same thing.
What are the most successful sellers doing that most smaller sellers miss?
I would say probably ads correctly.
Ads?
Using Incrementum.
You just said the name. Are we partners?
Yes, we are partners.
If you're looking to scale your business on Amazon, visit incrementumdigital.com. My name is Liran Hirschkorn, CEO and founder of Incrementum Digital. Thanks for watching this video, and click on my face to watch the next video.